So let's in this session we are going to discuss about different types of filters. So types of filters in Tableau and how do we use those filter in application, and how to create a top end filter and a set, and order of filter operation. So there is an order which Tableau follows. So in that order only the filters will get applied. So basically we will have data source filter, extract filter, context filter, and dimension filter. So these are all the 9 types of filters which are available. So we'll discuss about each and every filter one by one. Okay, so now let's discuss about data source filter. So before entering the data into the Tableau dashboard, so we can restrict the number of rows that are coming into the dashboard. So for that we can use data source and extract filter. So these are the first filters that we keep before entering into any dashboard. So sample superstore. So right click on this data source, edit data source. Okay, so here you can see it's in live connection, and to your right side you can see to add filters. So let's click on this add, and add let's say in region I want to select so you can see all the columns, all the dimensions and measures you can see. And if I restrict the data to only 3 regions and say okay, so we have already applied this region filter, and whenever we go into the sheet, so if we prepare anything, so only those 3 regions will be visible. So that means we are applying data source filter. So before entering to the worksheets or to the dashboards, so it's better if we restrict the data here itself in live connection or in extract connection. We can add filters here. So with that, we can restrict the data here itself, and we can use other filters inside the worksheets. So that's about data source filter. So we'll have a lot of options. So click on edit. Okay, so here we can put wildcard condition top. So I will tell you about what is wildcard condition top in the worksheet. And I will show you extract data source filter. So to do that, we can do extract. So let's create an extract. So here you can add data source, extract data source filter. So data source filter is the first one. So whatever filters that you applied, that will be already there. So now I want to add one more filter, category, and say okay. So now if I extract the data, so it will select the in region, it will select 3 values, which is central, east, and south. In category, it will select furniture and office supplies. So that way we can see different values. I mean, we can restrict the data, and only for these relevant rows will be visible in the data. So I'm doing an extract. Save this file. Okay, so if you do a category, so category usually has 3 values, but we have given only 2 values, so it will show you 2 values. So in that way, before entering to the worksheets or dashboards, we can restrict the data. And when you click on which is included for the filtering does not exist. Yeah, so here also you can do it. So whatever filters that we applied, so you can see it here as well. So this is data source filter, which you see on the right side. And if you click on this edit, this is related to extract filter. Okay, so here you can see 2 filters. Why? Because data source you have added one, and in extract we have added one. So we can see both. So this way we can apply extract data source filter and data source filter. To be secure, they must be defined on data source when it is published. If they are defined in the workbook with live, so this is related to live connection. So data source filter is related to the live connection, and extract data source filter is related to extract connection. So think of this as global filter that applies to all data that comes out of the data source. There is no way to bypass a data source filter. So if I am applying this filter, let's say I'm restricting the data where I'm excluding the west region. So there are 4 regions in this particular data. In that region, so I'm selecting 3 regions. that means you are excluding one region and the nulls. So that way we can restrict the data. So to the entire workbook, you will be able to see only those three regions, even with the data source filter and extract data source filter. So whatever filters that we are applying, whatever restriction that we are providing, so that will be for entire workbook. So that is about extract and data source filters. Okay, so now, so Tableau also uses filters groups set to organize the data. So let's discuss about other filters where we discuss about context filters and dimension filters. Okay, so first this will discuss about context filter. So for that, I'll just remove these filters which are already there. I'll remove these filters. So to remove, just select on that particular filter and just click on remove. And here also just click on edit and select remove and select remove and say okay. Which field region which is included for say okay. Okay, so let's take region and let's take state. So now I'm going to tell you about context filters. So context filter is a important filter. You might get interview questions based on this. And I'll take sales and I'll sort it. Okay, I can see all the states and all central related sales details. Okay, so now I want to use filters like region. Let me select all for a second. And I want to put top 5 states. So basically I want to see top 5 states. So to see that, so there is an option to just put this in the state filter and go to top and by field, select top 5 and so get the values of sum of sales which are in top 5. So you have $170,188. So there are some top values and say okay. So these are your top values basically. So those are from central region. In east region there are 2 states. In west region there are 2 states. Now let's say I'm applying other filter. So I'm applying one more filter where I'm showcasing all the regions. Himanshu, can you tell me if I remove west region from this, how many states will be there in this particular visualization? Hello? Yeah, now you're all good. Yeah, correct. So that way you can see those 2 will be removed and you can see only 3 states. And let's say when you remove the central, only 2 states will be visible because of this one. So let's say I have everything. Prashant, if I remove east from this, how many states will be there? Yeah, so if I remove, so basically this is called as traditional filters. I have not applied context filter yet. So both the filters will get applied. So now I will show you how a context filter applies. So let me make a duplicate of this one. Okay. So actually, I have selected top 5. So I want to see top 5 every time. But when I filter on west region, I'm able to see 3 states. If I remove east region, I'm able to see 3 states. But actually, what is the filter that I have applied? I wanted to see top 5 sales. So that is possible only when you convert this into context. Now, if I unselect west region, still I will be able to see top 5. Why? Because so so in the available set central, east, and south, yeah, whatever is the top five, so I will be able to see that top five. Let's say even if I select one region also, in central region, whatever is the top five, that list I can see. So what traditional filter is doing is it is applying both the filters. But actually what I want is in this particular scenario, I want to see what is the top five in that particular region. So that is possible only because of context filter. So what context filter does is it creates a temporary table. It creates a temporary table, and that will be the topmost filter. Topmost filter. So whatever filter that we apply, after applying this filter only, other filters will get applied. So for central, it will say, let's say central I have 200 records, and east I have 200 records, and west I have 200 records, and south also I have 200 records. Okay. So what this thing will do, context filter does is, so let's say if I have selected only central, that means it will create a temporary table for 200 records. 200 records. And whatever filter that I apply later, so I'm applying state filter, which is top five. So in this 200 records, whatever is the top five, it will show you that thing. So that is about context filter. And traditional filter, you have seen both the filters are getting applied. So it will not check only the 200 records. So every time it will check top five from the entire all the records. So in 800 records, it is trying to find top five, and it also including the region filter. So that is why both are getting filtered. So in this case also it is correct, where both the filters are getting applied here. So this also you will use in certain scenarios. And in context filter, if you want to show in particular region whatever is the top five, so then we can make use of context filters. So that is about the context filter. So you might get questions like what are the advantages of context filter. So basically this is the advantage, where it will create a temporary table, and that will be the topmost filter that gets applied. Other traditional filters or dimension filter or measure filters will be applied after that. So now let's go back to dimension filter. Okay, so you can think of a context filter as an independent filter. So context filter is nothing but an independent filter. Independent filters. And other dimension or measure filters are dependent filters. So it will depend on each other. So as you can see in our previous example, so it is dependent on each other. That is the reason you are able to see for top five filter is also getting applied, and region filter is also getting applied. So that is the reason you are not able to see top five for each region. Okay, so that is about context filter, and now let's go back to dimension filter. So for dimension filter, I will take customer name. Say okay, and I'll put customer name in the filters. So there are a lot of options that are available. So general, custom value list, wildcard, condition, top. So this is the manual selection which you can do. So basically you can select whatever values you want to, or when you select all will be selected. and there are 800 customers. And when you select none, and you want to select any specific customers you want to show, say okay and apply. So only those customers will be selected. And when you say all, you can say, or you want to exclude some specific people, then select this, or when you click on this, whatever is selected will be excluded. So these are the options available which you can use. So now let's apply normal. So let's go to wildcard. So this we can give access to the users. Show filter. Say edit filter. Okay, so let's say if we put wildcard, say contains. Okay, let's go to wildcard and let's say whichever contains HA. So we can say okay. So you can see the names which contains HA in their name. So you will see that. Or let's put some simple. It is to restrict the data based on some conditions. So let me just write some conditions. Starts with customer name. So as we discussed about starts with condition, so I'll just write it down. If it starts with A, then if this condition satisfies, then customer name plus @gmail.com. gmail.com. Else customer name plus @yahoo.com. @yahoo.com. Say end. Okay, so this is email ID, let's say. Say okay. And use this email ID. Okay, so there are some names which ends with gmail.com, and there are some names which ends with yahoo.com. So now let's use this email ID, and I want to select whichever contains, I want to see whichever has @gmail.com and say okay. So only those names I can see, whichever has @gmail.com. Or if I want to write @yahoo.com, say okay. Because this way I can see only @yahoo.com. So this is about wildcard. So here also you can apply which starts with letter A, say apply. And you can see starts with B. So all these things we can do. And ends with .com, let's say, or gmail.com. Say apply. So there are 5 names which are ends with gmail.com, and exactly matches if you write. So you have to write exact name. So then it will filter on the exact name. Say okay. So email ID is not similar to what I have written here. So you might need to write gmail.com as well. Say okay. Yeah. So that way you need to write exact name when you say exact name. Say okay and remove this email ID. So these are the these are the types of filters that we can apply, where you can use contains, starts with, ends with, and exactly matches. So this also we can write in a calculation as well. So as we discussed in yesterday's session, so we can write calculations as well to know the count of customer names whose name starts with A. So let's say if customer name or if starts with customer name A, let's say. If this condition equal to true, then starts with A, else if starts with customer name, B equal to true. So if this condition is true, then I want this to write as starts with B. And others, else show it as others. And so this is like a grouping where you can do grouping into the higher category. So I'll use this grouping column. So I'll put it in the row shelf. Okay, so I can see others and whosever name starts with A starts with B like this. And if I want to know the count, click on count distinct and make it as discrete. So there are 3 names which starts with B, and then there are 5 names which starts with A, and others starting with some other letters. So this way we can make use of it. So all these functions are also available in the calculations. You can use contains function, starts with and ends with. So exact matches, you can write customer name equal to exact name. So that way also we can use calculation. Okay, now let's see the condition based. So I'll just remove, or I'll create a new worksheet. I'll create a new worksheet and I'll take customer name and sales. Okay, so we can also apply conditions. So based on the condition, we can show the, or we can filter the data. So let's pull this filter shell and take the condition. And sum of sales greater than. So I want to see the customer names who has more than 15,000 of sales. Okay, so more than $15,000 of sales and say okay. So there are only 3 customers who has more than $15,000 of sales. So that is the conditions that we can give. And let's say I want to see less than $5,000, $5,000, how many customers are there? Yes, there are almost 681 customers who has less than $5,000 of sales. So this way we can put the conditions. And now let's go to top. Okay, so in the earlier one, we are not able to specify any number of customers that we want to see. So by using the condition, we are just putting sum of sales less than 500, sum of sales less than or greater than or equal to. So all these things we can do, but we can't specify how many number of customers we want to see. How many number of customers we want to see. So we can't specify that. If you go to top, so I want to see top 5 customers. Okay, based on sum of sales. So let's say okay. So let me remove it once again. So these are your values. So arranged in descending order. So basically these are your top 5 or these are your top 10. So I want to see only this top 5 or top 10. So I'll put this in the filter and click on top, click on this. I want to see only top 5 based on sum of sales. Say okay. So these are my top 5 and I want to see 10. Say okay. So this way I can see top 10 and I can also see bottom also. So if I click on bottom 5, so these are my last values. So which has less number of sales. So this is about condition and top. So where you can apply top and condition functions. So let me just create this for top. And let me do a duplicate. So here I will create it for condition. So condition, basically we can't specify the number of customers names. So here we can just give the number which are greater than $15,000 of sales. So it is applying both the conditions. So just take condition and put by field and specify 15,000 and say greater than. Say okay. So there are only 3 customers who has more than $15,000 of sales. Okay, so that's about dimension filters. So you can see these are the 4 different ways: general, wildcard, condition, and top or bottom, basically. So this way we can make use of this. And now let's go to, yeah. So we have seen about dimension filters. Now we'll see about measure filters. So this works like a SQL where condition. So in SQL we use a where clause. So it will work similar to where clause, and where we can apply starts with, ends with, and contains, and we can also specify 4 different types of application where we can use general, wildcard, condition, top or bottom. So I'll just take a pause if you have any questions. Oh. So let's get continued. So I'll tell you about measure filters. Let me make a duplicate of this one. So these are about measure filters. So I'm removing the dimension filter which is already there. So whatever filter that you are putting in the filter shelf based on the dimension. So if you are using dimension in the filter shelf, that will become dimension filter. And if you are using measures in the filter shelf, then it will become measure filter. So you can specify how many what range you want to see. So it has a minimum value of 4.833 and maximum value of 25,043. Let's say you want to see values between 10,000 to 15,000. So you can manually enter 10,000 to 15,000 and say apply. So you can see the customers who has value between 10,000 to 15,000. And you can give access to the user. So if you show this filter, so even user can enter. If you want to see customers who had made sales from 15,000 to 17,000. So there is only one customer who had made 15,000 in between 15,000 to 17,000. So that way we can give control to the user. So we can restrict, so we can block this area. So at least is something where you can't enter the last ending number, where you can't modify the ending number, or in this case you can just modify the starting number. Okay, so it will not allow you to enter the maximum number. If you want to see 15,000 to 25,000, so there are these many customers. So you can't control the next part. So this is like depending on the requirement, you use this option and go to utmost. So here you can't control the minimum value. Okay, so you can see starting from 5 to 10,000, how many customers are there. Those things we can see it and edit filter. So that's about utmost. And these are some special values where you want to remove or hide null values or non-null values. So if you want to remove null values, so this will show you only null values if you select. As there are no null values in the data, it is not showing you anything. And non-null values are nothing but the whole data. And edit filter. When you say all values, it will include null and non-null values. Okay, so when you have nulls in your data, you can use this option, the special option. And not only that, so there are other options in measure filters. So just put this in the filter shelf. Okay, so now I have filtered based on the sum. So instead of filtering it based on the sum, you can also filter it based on the average. So let's say if you are using average as an aggregation, so we can also filter in the average as the aggregation. So use sum of sales in the filter shelf and use average as a filter. So it is the same aggregation you need to use. So here also you can select minimum and maximum value, and in between whatever is the values you want to see, whatever is the number of customers who are in between this range. Let's say I want to see who has an average of $100 to $200. Say apply. So there are these many customers whose average sales is between 100 to 200. So it's same options where you can restrict the user not to enter the maximum value. Here you can't enter the minimum value, and special values it will be similar. So if you want to show only null values, what are the null is based on the sum of sales. If the sum of sales is null, it will show you what are the customers who are having null values. Non-null values are basically whenever you have value. So basically most of the customers have values, and all values, it's basically combination of non-null and null values. So this way we can make use of this average function. And now let's see. Okay. In that way we can use multiple aggregations. So if you are doing median in the data, so you can filter on based on the median. If you are doing count, we can do the based on the count as well. So mostly we use sum as an aggregation. And so for all of them, it will be similar. It will be range of values, at least, at most, and special. And now I will show you all values. So it is basically the same thing where you can filter on this. And let's put this, say okay. And make this as discrete. Okay, so if you make this as a discrete, you can select individual values. So like we have selected for dimension, so we can select individual values. So let's say I want to see the customer who is having 22,638 value. Say okay. So scene Miller is the person who has 22,638 value. So this way you can also use it like a dimension where it will show each and every value of the customer in the filter. So if you use it as a discrete, so it will show you each and every value that particular customer has. So that's about measure filters. Okay, so now we'll see about user filters or quick filters, basically. So commonly used end user filters. So these are end user filters. So any dimension filter or context filter or measure filter can be used as a user filter or show filter. So let me just show. So I can give access to the user. So if you say show filter, okay, so user can see this as a filter. So while showing it in the dashboard, we use this. So let me take this measure filters into the worksheet and make it into the entire view. Sorry, fit width. Okay, here I can see all the customer names. Here I can see all the customer names, and I can see the customer name filter over here. And I can specify so that user can see this particular data. Show filter. So this is about show filter. Okay, so while publishing it to the server, it's not so that you are seeing a drop down here. So it's better you can do a option called multiple value drop down list. So until unless you click on this drop down, you will not be able to see any list. Okay, so it looks like a button. So you can click on that and you can select whatever names you want to. And any questions? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mean top five and bottom five filters like that? I'm just showing for one custom filter, but you can keep multiple filters here as well. So let's say region I will drop. So all okay, and I will also put category, subcategory as well. So if I go to this dashboard, so click on here, select. So whatever filters that I have applied in that worksheet, I can see it here. Okay, region, filters, subcategory, and also category. So all these filters will get applied to this worksheet. So yeah. So this also you should make it as multiple value drop down so that you can see when you click on this drop down. So it's visually good to see. So just click on this multiple value drop down. Okay, so basically I'll tell you about this multiple value drop down where you can select multiple values and you will get a tick mark option where you can select multiple values. Let's say I want to select only these many customers. Okay, so there is an option called single value drop down also. So at a time you can select only one value, single value drop down. Okay, so now all is selected. If I click on Aaron Bergman, only Aaron Bergman will be selected. So here I will not allow user to select multiple values. So there you can't see any tick marks. So you can't tick any names. So depending on the requirement, sometimes we might give one value at a time. So in this scenario, I'll just give multiple value drop down. So I will select all. So this way we can provide the list of filters and apply to worksheet. So currently I have applied only to this worksheet, but if I want to apply this to other worksheets as well, so I'll just click on this and go to apply to worksheets. So I can select list of worksheets here. So it will show all the list of worksheets which are there in the workbook. Okay, so if you see normally, if you go to other, only customer name filter is there. Okay, only customer name filter is there in the most of the sheets. So if I go here and let's say category filter or subcategory filter is not there in any of the worksheets. And let's say if I select here, all worksheets. So this will get applied to all the worksheets. You go to condition, so this will get applied to all the worksheets. So I have not manually dropped anything in the filter shell. So even from that particular sheet, you can apply the same filter to the worksheet. So I will show you how that works. So if you go to measure filter, so let me create a category filter first of all. Category. So here I'll take a subcategory and category. So I'll just show you for sheet 8 and sheet 9. So here I'm taking category. Select OK. And I will apply this same filter to sheet 9. But without going to sheet 9, I will apply that filter. So right click on this, apply to worksheets, click on selected worksheets. And here I will select sheet 9. So the same filter will get applied to the sheet 9. Say okay. Now if you go and see, the same filter is applied. And if you change it here, so let's say I'm selecting only furniture and office supplies. Furniture and office supplies I'm selecting. If you go to the sheet 9, you can see only the furniture and office supplies is getting selected. So that way, within one click, we can change it to the entire dashboard. So I'll use this sheet 8, sheet 9 here. Sheet 8 and sheet 9. And I'll use this category subcategory filter to all the worksheets in the dashboard. So selected worksheets, sheet 8, sheet 9, say okay. And subcategory also I will apply to sheet 8, sheet 9. Customize selected worksheets, sheet 8, sheet 9. And I'll also put category and subcategory in this measure filters. Category, subcategory. Yes, okay. Okay, now if I select, so all the subcategories are available, furniture, office supplies, technology, all the categories are available. But now if I select only furniture, okay, you can see only furniture data in all the worksheets. Even if these three worksheets are separately created, but we can make it, so we can use only one filter to get applied to all the three worksheets. So this way we can make dashboard interactive. This way we can make dashboard as an interactive dashboard. That means within one click or within one filter, we are able to interact with all the worksheets. So this way we can make use of all these filters. And now let's, okay, so that's about quick filter, where you can use multiple options, like you can choose multiple value drop down and multiple value custom list. So you can enter, let's say wildcat match, you say. So Quincy. Okay, sometimes it's like if you're trying to search in your name in the web browser, something like that. So you can enter normal places or names. If you don't know the exact names, you can just enter the similar name, whatever, if it contains Aaron in that name. So whatever name starts with Aaron, you can get that information. And yeah, multiple value dropdown we have seen, and we also have a single value slider. So you can slide from one value to the other value. So Aaron Bergman, Aaron Hawkins, if you click on these buttons, it will show one by one. These are the options, some of the options which are available. So in this case, it might not suffice, but so there are options where you want to toggle between one customer to other customer. And I will show you one example. So let me select this all. And let me put multiple value dropdown. And let's say I will put one more filter, which is state, or let me select region. Okay, region is already there. And I'll put state. Say okay. And go to show filter. And I'll also put select all, state and region filter. Click on this, filters, show state, and click on multiple value dropdown and put next to the region. Okay, so in central there will be some states, and in east there will be some states, and I want to connect these two filters. So how I can connect these two filters is to show only relevant values. click on this only relevant values, and here also click on only relevant values. So let's say if I have selected central, so central related states will be filtered. So usually now it is showing you all the states. Okay, so there are some 50 or 60 states which are there. So let's say if I select central, okay, in central there are only 10 to 12 states. So that means not only in worksheets, we can also apply filter to filters as well. So if you select this only relevant values, you can see that. So if I select East region, so what are the states in East region? So these are the states in East region. So this way we can select the relevant values. For South, there are only 8 to 9. And West, if you select, so these many states are there. So what if you don't put only relevant values? All values in hierarchy. And here also you set all values in hierarchy. Yeah, so if you set all values in database, basically it will show you everything, but not related to South. So it will be similar when you have this thing. So if you select all values in hierarchy or only relevant values, it will be filtering based on the region, whatever is the states are available, only those filters will be shown. So let's say I'll just put region, state. So in total, it is a combination of all the regions. So when you are filtering central, you should be able to see only this uh, 12 to 15 states which you are able to see it here. So it's better you put all values in hierarchy and all values in hierarchy here as well. So whenever I select central, I should be able to see what are the central states. So that's about user filters where you can use all the options. And now let's see what are some filter actions and table calculation filters. So I'll just give a brief about this. So filter actions and table calculation filters, it will take one more session to explain all this. Okay, so I'll just give a brief. So let me remove this filter. Yeah, so now that I have removed this filter, I'll just show you how this action filter works. So click on this, click on filter and select show all values, say okay, say okay. So let's say if I have selected this particular data point, so related information will be filtered in the entire data source. I'll remove all the filters for now. Okay, now let's say I'm going to select this particular subcategory binders, which belongs to office supplies category. So related information will also be filtered in sheet 8 and sheet 9. Okay, office supplies binders is getting filtered. So basically, whatever we select, it will be, so here if I select this data point, tables. So tables will be filtered in all the worksheets. So this way I can interact with all the worksheets. So here I can show some profit data. Okay, so this way I can represent the data. If I click on furnishings, so I can see furnishings is getting filtered. So I will tell you how did I do this action filters to interact with Tableau. So to create interactive dashboards, we use action filters. So with action filters, you can click on any of the worksheet. So that related data point will be, or that related filters will, will get applied to entire dashboard. So that is about action filters. Now let's talk about table calculation filters. So this calculation is related to table. So I'll just give you some basic info of this. So table calculation, we have one more session. So today I will just give you brief about that. So let me take sales. And I will also take order date and make it as month, make it discrete. So I want to see as a tabular chart. Okay, so here I can see January, February, March 2020, all this data, whatever is the value in that particular month. And right click. So let me take one more sales, or let me take this one only. So this is my actual value of sum of sale. So in January 2020, whatever is the value, it is showing that particular value. So to create table calculation, just right click on that particular sum of sales and go to quick table calculation and click on running total. Okay, so when I do running total, it basically does a sum of all the rows. Okay, so it will keep on adding. I'll just put sales also so that it is visible. So this is my normal sales. So whatever you see on the right side, that is my normal sales. Okay, and this is a running sum of sales along order date. Okay, so 14,500 is getting added to the next number. 14,518 plus 4520 will become 19,038. So it will keep on adding. So 14,518 plus 4520 will be your next number's total, which is 19,038. Likewise, it will keep on adding 56,934, which is the March 2020 value. So if you add on, you will get 75,972. So it will continue doing that every month. It will keep on adding that. So at the end, you will have the total. So at the end, you will have the total sum of sales. So this is one way of representing where you can show by the end of the month what is your actual total sum of sales. So if you want to represent in that way, we'll use running sum of sales. There are many functions: running total, difference, percentage difference. So in upcoming sessions, I will discuss about all these functions and all, and how to create these functions. Okay, so that's about today's session. Any questions? Okay, thank you all for joining. So we'll continue tomorrow.